Imagine moving into your dream home, only to discover your neighbor has been secretly siphoning your water for years. And when I finally decided to fight back, one small move from me left him broke, humiliated, and forced out of his own house. If you've ever wished karma would show up for the people who think they can take advantage of others, you're going to love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let me walk you through how I turned the tables on one entitled old man who thought he could steal from me forever. I live in Asia, in the middle of a capital city that's noisy, crowded, and expensive. So when I got the chance to buy a house at an incredible price, I jumped on it. The sellers were family friends who had left the country years ago. They needed cash fast and I was happy to help. Sure, the house was a fixer-upper. It was half renovated, with bare walls and a front door that was secured with nothing more than a rusty padlock. No proper gate, no solid security, just open space. But it was mine. My first home. My safe place. Or so I thought. The very first day I moved in, I noticed something strange. There was a random motorbike parked in my garage. Like someone thought my home was still abandoned, free parking for anyone passing by. I wheeled the bike outside and had a gate installed that same day. Later, an angry man showed up, banging on my new gate, demanding his bike back. I didn't answer the door, but from my window I saw him sulking off after 15 minutes. That was warning sign number 1. My neighborhood wasn't exactly friendly, but I figured, hey, that's life in the city. My next door neighbor was an older man. He owned a 3-story house. He lived on the ground floor, and he rented out the other 2 floors to tenants. From the start, he didn't like me. My friends had warned me about him before selling me the house. Apparently, he was furious that the place was being sold at all. Maybe he thought he'd get first dibs, or maybe he just hated change. Either way, he made his disapproval known. But honestly, I didn't care. I'm a 6-foot-tall guy with 3 dogs. I wasn't scared of some grumpy old man. At least, not at first. One night, I was taking a shower when I noticed the water pressure dropping. Not just a little, it was significantly weaker than normal. At the same time, I heard the distinct whir of a water pump coming from my neighbor's house. In my country, you need water pumps to push water up to rooftop tanks, because the city supply doesn't have enough pressure on its own. Pumps turn on automatically when the water in the tank gets low, and then shut off once it's full. So why would his pump starting up affect my water pressure? I tested it. I waited until his pump stopped running. Then I turned on my taps again. My water pressure was back to normal. Coincidence? Maybe once. But it happened again. And again. Every single time his pump turned on, my water pressure dropped. And that's when it hit me. He was siphoning water from my supply. It all clicked into place. For the past 3 years, while my house sat abandoned, the water bills had mysteriously been climbing. The family who owned it before me just assumed it was due to leaks in the pipes. But no, this guy had hooked up his pump to my water line, and he'd been stealing from me for years. Think about that level of entitlement. Walking into someone else's property, tapping into their utilities, and just deciding you get free water forever. And he probably thought I'd never notice. Water in my country is cheap. $5 a month tops. But it wasn't about the money. It was about principle. About fairness. About the smugness of an old man who thought he was untouchable. And suddenly, I wanted revenge. I thought about confronting him directly. But that would give him a chance to deny everything. Or worse, retaliate. I considered going to the police. But what proof did I have? None. He could just shrug and claim coincidence. No. If I wanted justice, I needed a smarter move. One that required no proof, no confrontation, just patience. So I waited. 4 days ago, on a quiet Monday night, I sat by my window listening. Waiting. At exactly 10 p.m., his pump roared to life. That was my moment. I walked outside to the main water valve for my house, and shut it off. Instantly, I imagined what was happening next door. His pump was still running, sucking and sucking, but with no water coming through. And that's where the genius of my plan came in. Pumps don't like running dry. If there's no water, they keep pulling power endlessly, overheating, straining the wiring. And this guy's house was old. His electrical system? Straight out of the 90s. At first, I expected just the pump to burn out. But what I didn't expect was the chain reaction. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to shouting. Angry voices, panicked footsteps. His tenants were furious. Their water was gone. And worse, the pump had overloaded the circuits and fried the house's ancient wiring. The entire property had lost power. Imagine the chaos. No lights, no fans, no water. In a tropical climate. At 3 in the morning. By sunrise, the tenants were screaming at their landlord in the courtyard. Our tenant laws are strict. Water and electricity are considered essential services. If a landlord fails to provide them, tenants can file complaints and even sue. And that's exactly what they did. One tenant packed up and left within 2 days. The other filed an official complaint with the police. The fines alone were brutal, $500. In my country, that's a massive hit. On top of that, he had to refund both tenants' security deposits. And worst of all, he couldn't rent out the place again until the wiring and plumbing were fully repaired. That would cost him thousands he didn't have. This man, who had lived comfortably off his tenants' rent for years, was suddenly broke. His only choice? Move in with his daughter. All because he thought stealing my water was no big deal. A few days later, he came to my gate. He didn't shout. He didn't accuse me outright. But his face was tight, his voice strained. "Did you turn off your water the other night?" he asked. I looked him dead in the eye and smiled. "Oh yeah," I said casually. "One of my pipes had a leak. Had to shut it off until the plumber came." His face didn't move, but his eyes told the truth. He knew. He knew I'd caught him. That I'd beaten him without even raising my voice. And he couldn't say a damn thing. Next week, I'm having a plumber come out to cut off any stray pipes leading out of my property. I'm making sure no one can ever siphon water from me again. In the end, all it took was flicking one valve. One tiny move that destroyed the life of a man who thought he could steal from me forever. 2 birds, 1 stone. My water problem solved, and my nightmare neighbor gone. That final moment, when he asked if I had turned off the water. God, the satisfaction I felt. Knowing he had lost everything. His tenants. His income. His pride. And all I had to do was turn a knob. It was poetic. Perfect. Karma at its finest. Sometimes, revenge doesn't have to be loud or violent. Sometimes it's as simple as letting someone's greed destroy them. If he'd just paid his own water bill, he'd still be living comfortably. But instead he played a selfish game. And he lost. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And of course, subscribe for more stories like this. Because trust me, the best revenge stories are always true.